Hey you guys, it's Haley here with the Catawba Riverkeeper. This week we are back for another story time live. So the story that we're going to be reading this week is called Over and Under the Pond. It is a beautifully written and illustrated story. So I want to make sure that I show you all the pages, and this is also a great one. I would definitely advise you guys to go buy it, find it in your libraries, because the back has a really, really cool animal guide. And it actually talks about and gives you a little more information about the plants and animals that we're going to learn about in this book. So before we get started, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves to me like we do every week. So I'm Haley. On the count of three, I want everybody to tell me your names. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. It's great to meet you guys back here again for another week. And I just want everybody to make sure they're staying safe out there, because I know that a lot of South Carolina and our North Carolina friends are going back to work and going back to being able to go to stores and things like that. So just make sure you're being safe out there. All right, so we're going to talk just a little bit about the Catawba Riverkeeper and what we do. So we are a on-the-water nonprofit, and what that looks like is that we like to engage, educate, and protect the river. And so we like to engage people with the river, people like you, and then we like to educate people, which is exactly what we're doing here today, reading this book and learning about what kinds of things feed into a river, which is a pond. So ponds and streams and lakes and creeks, they all feed into a river or from a river. And so that's one way that we educate people. And then we also protect the river. And so we try and protect the quality of the river. We want to protect how much water is in the river. And those are things that we do in order to be your on-the-water nonprofit. So we are going to get started with our book. So it's called Over and Under the Pond, and it's written by Kate Messner, and art is by Christopher Salas Neal. All right. So it says, over the pond, the water is reflecting the sky. Oh, okay, cool. So here's our first page. There's not any words yet. It's our title page. But I want you to look and see. So we have a dragonfly, we have some lily pads, we have some frogs. Someone said the lily pads are in bloom. Did you know that lily pads actually have flowers that bloom on them? Some species. All right. So it looks like we're just hanging out in the pond. I see some cattails. I don't see any animals yet or fish. All I see is a tiny little dot over there. I wonder what that is. Oh, okay. So we see the outline of maybe a fish in there. And we see a boy and his mom. Alright. Okay, now we're getting underneath the pond. So I don't think that's a shark. It looks like the underside of a shark, but it's not. I don't think that's a shark. But hopefully we'll find out. Oh my gosh, we have all kinds of critters down here. That's under the pond. Ooh, something's waiting to get a tasty snack, it looks like. Alright. There's some ducks, different kinds of ducks, turtles. Oh, look at them canoeing through the pond. We have birds and bird nests. I actually watched a bird nest get made yesterday right outside my window. That was really cool. We have a moose. Okay, that's crazy. A huge big moose. Ooh, and some beavers. What else do we have? Looks like they're just hanging out on the pond. Okay, a great blue heron. We all know what that is. We talked about that before. Ooh, he's eating. A bird's eye view. So we're looking at above the pond, and they're all looking up. The boy and his mom are looking up. Ooh, that's not a beaver. What is that? Looks like an otter, maybe? All different kinds of animals under the pond and on top of the pond. We have furry animals, we have feathered animals, We have slimy animals, sticky animals, all different kinds. Okay, perfect. So it looks like this book is going to be just a mother and her son out on a pond canoeing, enjoying nature. Maybe they know the names of the things, maybe they don't know the names, so we're going to get to find out. So I think we're just going to journey along with them as they hang out on this pond. All right. Over the pond we slide, splashing through lily pads and sweeping through reeds. Awesome. So they just came off of the banks and now they're on the river, or on the pond. They're out on the pond. Okay. The water's a mirror reflecting the sky, sunshine and clouds, then a shadow below. Okay, so this is the shadow they're looking at. What's down there, I ask. Under the pond, Mom asks. Under the pond is a whole hidden world of minnows and crayfish and turtles and bullfrogs. We're paddling over them now. Oh, wow. So we have lots of different fish. We have a turtle. There's little minnows, a frog outline. Oh, there's a crayfish. Can y'all see the crayfish? Awesome. Or crawdad. Around these parts we call them crawdads. Over the pond, we skim past all tall rushes. Whirligig beetles loop and twirl, skaters on the warm summer surface. So these are the whirligig beetles, and you can actually see those on our ponds too. Sometimes they go in circles right on the top. They don't go under the water, they just stay right on the top. We have some minnows down here. Whoa. Under the pond, minnows dart through waving forests of grass, while a brook trout lurks, ready to lunge, so he does look hungry. We were right. He's looking for a snack. Over the pond, we lift and dip and pull past a row of painted turtles on a waterlogged tree. 1, 2, 3. They slip off and away, splash, gurgle, sloop under the pond. Over the pond, cattails rustle and swish in the wind. Listen close. Caw-caw! A red-winged blackbird races by. One has grass for her nest. And under the pond, a caddisfly larvae builds a home under her own secret shelter of pebbles and sand. So this is a caddisfly beetle larvae. That's what they're talking about. And what they do is they wrap themselves in all different kinds of little tiny twigs and stones and sticks. And then you can see the little head poking out. The larva camouflages themselves so that a fish won't eat them, because fish don't eat stones normally. Fish don't eat sticks, and hopefully they won't eat this caddisfly larva either. Awesome. Over the pond, the shadows of leaves lean out from the shore. We coast under a low-hanging branch. A moose looks up with a mouthful of water lilies. We've interrupted his lunch. Haha, look, he's eating all the water lilies. So interesting. All right. Under the pond, beavers dive deep. They pump with powerful tails and rise to the surface with delectable roots from the mud. Beavers are herbivores. They only eat green things. Over the pond, the wind gives us a push and stirs the light dappled leaves on the shore. So right here, dapple light, what that means is as the sun comes through, the leaves on the trees and the branches block some of the light. Not all of the light, just some of it. So whenever you see sunshine, if you look down on the ground or on the surface of the water and you see where the sunshine is trying to get through, but it's been blocked, you can see the outline of the branches and the trees. That's dapple light. There on a branch, a new goldfinch teeters, finally ready to fly. So there's a baby bird in that nest. Look, they can see the baby bird. Under the pond, tadpoles are learning to hop. They're losing their tails and growing legs and growing up. So we have down here a tadpole, and then he's losing his tail just a little bit and growing some legs. Now his tail's smaller and his legs are getting bigger. So if you guys ever look into a pond and you see a fish, a tiny little fish, what looks like a fish with a tail, most fish have tails, but if it has legs, that's probably not a fish. It's probably a tadpole, a baby frog, because they start their life in the water. All right, we all know this guy. Over the pond, at the shore, a tall and silent and still, a great blue heron stares down into the deep. It tenses, takes one long-legged step. They're watching. All right, so he's tense. He takes one long-legged step and strike. It catches a wiggly little quicksilver minnow from where it was hiding under the pond. So you see his beak is long and sharp and pointy. So you can just snap it right up. Over the pond we drift. Heads tipped up to the sun, a woodpecker clings to a teetering pine, digging for ants. So there's our woodpecker, digging for all the ants, and there they are looking up, trying to find the woodpecker. Under the pond, an otter claws for freshwater mussels. We love watching otters play. Over the pond, a sleepy dragonfly lands for a rest. So there's the dragonfly on his knee. His spindly legs tickle my knee. Under the pond, dragonfly larvae watch what swim by. They catch minnows with their monster fast jaws. Oh my gosh. So there's a dragonfly larva, and it actually caught a little baby fish. It's going to eat it. Did you know that? That dragonfly larvae actually eat fish? Crazy. Over the pond, the shadows stretch, and the ospreys circle on quiet wings. Raccoons and minks stalk the shoreline for supper. And then under the pond, with a flip of the tail, a crawfish disappears into the dark. Or as we call them, crawdads. A crawdad disappears into the dark. Over the pond, we head for home. We glide, swish, bump, right up onto shore. As fast and far off we can hear a loon calls goodnight. The sky turns from sunset to dusk and then to dark. The night settles over the pond. The prowling catfish, the drowsy turtles, the scuttling crawfish, the tadpoles turn frogs, wading herons, and stalking raccoons. And the hidden world under the pond. All right. So that is our book, Over and Under the Pond by Kate Messner. And I'm going to read you just the back, the little author's note here in the back, and then I'm going to give you guys a task. I want everybody that watches this to go back through the story after I read it one time, and I want you to pick out some animals that you guys like. Right, so ponds and other wetland areas provide homes for plants and animals around the world. A pond is a kind of ecosystem. That is an interconnected community of organisms that interact with one another as well as their environment. So the environment is what's over and under the pond. If you look back through the story, you'll find many examples of these interactions. From the blackbird gathering grass to her nest to the many animals eating all of the plants, and then the other animals eating those animals because they're all part of a food chain. In a pond ecosystem, producers like plants and plankton make their own food using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide from the air, but they also need nutrients in soil or water. Herbivores, like fish, birds, beavers, and that moose in the story, get their energies from these plants. So herbivores are things that they don't eat meat, they only eat plants. So some of you watching might be herbivores. If you're a vegetarian, you're probably an herbivore. Pretty cool, right? Carnivores, like the great blue heron, the otter, and the raccoon, eat both plants and animals. So if you're watching this and you do eat meat and you eat plants, maybe you don't like all your plants, but if you eat plants and animals, you're a carnivore. At the bottom of the pond are decomposers. These are things like bacteria and fungus that break down any matter that is dead or decaying. And those are things like plants and animals, so that all of the nutrients in the soil can return and cycle over to be used again. All right, sometimes ecosystems are threatened by pollution or loss of habitat. But when things are going well, every organism has a job to do, and together they all keep the pond healthy. All right, so this was a great book, and like the challenge I'm going to give you guys is I would like you guys to go back through this story, and I want you to try and pick out some animals that I said that you might have seen before. So I know I've seen a great blue heron. We've talked about great blue herons on our story times before. So that is my challenge. I want you to go and pick one animal that you like from this. Okay? Well, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.